Welcome to this episode of Legally Clueless. Now, we've teamed up with She Walks, which is an initiative by Johnny Walker that is spotlighting and celebrating women making bold choices and impacting communities. And in this episode, we're going to meet a woman doing just that. She's creating safe spaces for women, as well as doing her part in ending period poverty.
My name is Angela Waweru. I aspire to inspire before I expire. I'm one of the founders for Sister Speaks Global and Heals for PADS Foundation, and I'm also a chairperson for Crown Trust. So I was born, and I grew up in Kenya until the age of around 11. And then my family and I relocated to the UK. So I was obsessed with television. Our version of DSTV there is like Sky. It was so bad my mum took it away, and we only had 5 channels for like 4 years of my life because I wouldn't hear when you're talking to me. So it was just a no-brainer. I took up media. That was what I wanted to do. Prior to that, I'd done a TV and video diploma in a college, so it was quite clear that media is the route for me. So I got a chance to come and do an internship in Kenya for NTV. For me to go from a girl obsessed with television to now working for a television station was just a dream that had finally come true for me. So it was also interesting coming back as an adult in Kenya. My plan was to never stay for longer than 5 months because I was just coming for a break. I don't think I came with any expectations, but I certainly didn't think I would stay longer than 5 months. So to know that I just kept extending, then I fell in love. So of course that maybe contributed to me staying longer. If you work in media, you don't get your overtime for it. So it can feel like you're just working and working. I never used to get sick, so I got sick. I was like, it's time for me to get paid my dues. I think I'm beyond an intern here. I've got experience. I wanted to now move out on my own because I was staying with family. And so that just wasn't happening. And so I was like, well, I have options and my time is up. And that is the reason why I left, because I was like, I want money, I want a different experience. I was trying to find another job and I couldn't. And so I chose to leave, thinking that it would be easier for me because now I have 14 months experience of working in media, that it would be just an easy transition when I moved back to the UK. And unfortunately, it wasn't the case. The reality was that I would now have to start looking for a job from the bottom, literally go back to where I began, which I wasn't willing to do. I kept looking and looking. They weren't appreciating the experience that I had for 14 months. So I was like, so what do I do all that for? So I kind of now started feeling lost. I've done a degree in media. All I've ever wanted to do is work for TV. Did I make the mistake of getting on that flight? Maybe I should have stayed. I did feel like I made the mistake, but I'm like, I'm gonna own that I've chosen to get on a plane and move back. So 9 months, didn't have a job. Ended up doing volunteering for my mum's friend's charity, which was good. Got good experience, started doing youth projects, doing youth work. So I started facilitating sessions for young people. And then eventually I got an opportunity to work in a local college near where I live. And so I had always been interested in teaching. And I was like, okay, maybe this will be the gateway. I ended up doing a course, a short course to understand what teaching would be. And that's because I was more inspired because one day my mum came home and she was told by her church friend that the Holy Spirit has told her to tell me to pursue teaching. And I'd never talked to that lady. And I don't think I'd even voiced this. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. So I did the short course, and then now I ended up doing a 2-year postgraduate in teaching. Ended up teaching for about 2 to 3 years. I ended up teaching at the college that I also went to, which was an interesting experience. During that process, around, I'd say, towards the end of 2014, Sheryl Sandberg is being interviewed by Oprah and talking about her book Lean In and talking about what she's trying to do for women. And I thought, oh, that's so great. but who's doing it for girls? So then I started a mentorship program for Kenyan girls in our community and put into practice my teaching skills and what I was already doing in school and preparing them for life outside of education. During that process, I was like, I think I want to do this for those who don't have access to education. And they say charity begins at home. Why not? So there was a shift in my life that allowed me to try this thing that was always troubling me, to try and move back to Kenya. So fast forward, booked my ticket, one-way ticket. And at the end of 2015, I found myself back in Kenya. So that was quite cool. And I knew I wanted to do something for girls. I wanted to do a mentorship program for girls. And I didn't start that immediately because I didn't have any connects for education. So yeah. Another area or personality of mine is I like to be creative, right? I guess comes with being a media student and all that. So I'd always dabbled in making jewelry for a very long time. And when I used to come and visit Kenya, I used to make money from selling my jewelry. And so I would pay my tickets and stuff. So I was like, well, that can be my gateway entry. And actually, before I moved, that 2 months I was here, that's what I was doing, is reviving my jewelry, which was called Malkia Jewels. And then fast forward, got a job in writing for a local online writing media. And then my life changed the day I interviewed Kennedy Odede of Shofco, because he ended up hiring me after that interview. And then now I got into mentorship because they have a school in Kibera, understood what it's like to run an organization. And when my experience ended with them, during the time when I used to make jewelry, I had met Monica Muhoya, who's one of the founders for Heels for Pads and Sister Speaks. And we had the same interest in doing stuff to do with women. And so when my period of working in Shofco ended, we'd already had this conversation about, wouldn't it be nice to have something for women, creating this space for women. And so in 2019, the journey of Sister Speaks Global began with creating events. We did our first event with 15 people at Mo's backyard in where she used to stay, somewhere in Westlands. And that kind of just give us hope. And even through the process of creating that event, Angela Waweru also came on board because she was interested in creating a space and a community for women. And so we all came together to create that event and then began our journey of Sister Speaks. The first initial event we had hoped to do was a vision board party. But because we ended up doing our first event in April, it did not make sense to do a vision board. So we made it more like a safe space where you can anonymously get advice. You can anonymously be part of a women community where you can talk about things and hear people's experiences. So it was about creating a safe space and creating a community of this sisterhood. That was the basis. And then in May, as we were coming to May, where May 28th has the menstrual hygiene day. And so Mo had this idea. She had some heels she wanted to get rid of. And she asked us if we had some heels we wanted to get rid of. And she's like, what if we got people to take our heels, but we say, before you take them, give me some pads. And so that's also how Heels for Pads, the journey of Heels for Pads now started in May. We formed this idea May 10th, sent messages May 13th. And then 3 weeks later, our life changed. We're doing TV interviews and talking about period poverty when I didn't even know what period poverty was. You know, you Google, you're like, oh, this is a thing. Because of course, everyone's journey for menstrual health is different, and realized that I'm a privileged girl. There are so many problems in life, period, pun intended. But there are many problems within period poverty challenges, right? I'd be lying if I sit here and say Heels for Pads can solve them all. So we had to decide what would be the focus. We do drives. We have served 19 counties and have helped 24,000 plus beneficiaries. And that's great to say, but we wanted to create a more impact. And our impact has been to focus on keeping that girl in class where she doesn't miss because she doesn't have pads that day, so she chooses not to go to school. And so in 2017, I met this girl called Munira Twahir, and she has an organization called Interco Kenya, and they do pad dispenses called ARI. And so I heard her speak, and I was like, she might be the answer to our solutions, because one of the things that we've always found is if I give the pad, I really don't know if it's going to the girl. I hope it is. I hope she's not going to sell it. I hope she's actually genuinely going to use it. So we wanted to find a way to involve tech in our way of eradicating poverty. So we connected and learned about how she does her dispensers. They have a monitoring evaluation aspect. So we can go into a dashboard and we can see the schools we're supporting. We can see how many pads have been dispensed, if it's working, you know, and we get to see how many girls are using the dispenser. So we get to see in lifetime the story of the girls that we're supporting. And that made a lot of sense to us. And so in 2021, we got support by Tembea Tujenge Kenya, and helped us launch our first pad dispenser in Benson Jara in Kiambu County, in Tinganga area, which is where my family is from. It's a school where my dad and his siblings went to. And that day we launched, I got my dad to come with me, which was such an emotional moment for me and his sister as well. Fast forward 2022, we launched our first one in a special needs school in Dagoretti, Nairobi County. And then today we will be adding Genie Primary Junior School in Muranga County.
So these are the pads, and so you load them into the dispenser. So
Correct.
these are quite a few that are in here then.
Yes.
So 12 packets of pads and 2 panties.
Yeah. Okay.
For an entire year.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you give them the booklets as well?
Yes, so now this one. So it's a story about like Malkia and Jabari and about their journey for puberty. So then now we talk about menstruation.
Yeah.
And like how the menstruation happens.
And I like that the boys are also in this.
Yes, because then I can also give it. It can be given to boys. That's why it's also just called Let's Talk Puberty.
Let's hit the road.
With like Heels for Pads, I'm really good at teaching. So typically I'm the one who will lead with like the educative part. Right?
Yeah, because it's your strength.
Yes. And so hence even like developing the booklet was easy because I was thinking like a teacher, but also thinking like a student and putting it together.
Yeah.
It's one of my proudest things when it comes to Heels for Pads, that I've always wanted to be a writer, and I'm glad that my first book is something for menstrual health and something that can be used as an educative tool, and want to develop it, make it even more digital, so it can be maybe a cartoon character, who knows, you know,
A show,
yeah.
Do you have one moment that constantly validates your journey? Like if there are moments where maybe if something is challenging that you're working on, you think to this one moment and it kind of is the reason why you're doing what you're doing. This is the reason we're going to Muranga. This is the reason we have the dispensary in Kiambu. Do you have one validating moment?
I have so many. I think the first big event we did for Sister Speaks just before COVID came to play, I was like, this is why I moved. Like that was like a validation. When me and Mo we partnered with Amref and we went to Samburu and Marsabit, that whole trip was very like, wow, like we're here. I think even like convincing our corporate to believe in our dispenser idea.
Yeah.
And so big shout out to Tembea Tujenge Kenya for coming through and making our first project actualize, because that has now led us to why we're going, right? Because most people only want to support something that has been actualized and proven concept. So we're here now because of somebody first taking a chance on our first idea and believing in it. There's a tornado happening there.
Yeah.
That's so random. Welcome to Genie Primary School, which is where we're gonna launch the fifth school with the dispenser project, but the third school that's getting support by USAID for the Tea Fund, YALI. Yeah, grant. Let's go.
Oh, this is so wonderful. This is so wonderful, guys.
It's yet another time that we are privileged to have visitors who have come because they love us.
We are going to be discussing about matters to do with your period blood, changes that are happening in your body. But we will also educate you. Everyone is going to get a booklet called Let's Talk Puberty. It's called what?
Let's Talk Puberty.
Si hapa kuna wavulana pia? Na pia unaweza wafundisha. Wakikuuliza ni nini, unawaambia tuko na hii kitabu, wacha nikuoneshe, si ndio? And you can learn together. Are we together? But more importantly is we want you to ensure you get pads, si ndio? I want you to know that this card will have 12 swipes per month, okay? How many?
12.
Right? So what that means that you have a chance to swipe 12 times. You can swipe 12 on the same day, or you can swipe when you need it in the day, the days that you have your periods, okay? So you take your card and you tap it here. When you hear that beep, just know the pad is coming out. Are we together? And it will also tell you how many swipes you have left. You will always know that you have access to pads in the school. Sawa sawa. So please do not miss school because you have your periods and you don't know what to do. So what we usually recommend at the end of the day, you make sure you swipe 2 pads, okay? So you swipe 2 times. You take one so that ukishawa hiyo jioni, utakuwa na moja ya kuchange. Kesho asubuhi, uko na ingine. Tuko pamoja? So that when you come to school, you have a pad on. Are we together? Sawa, sawa, that is it. You're welcome. You're welcome. Never did I think that when I got on the plane in 2015 that I would find myself sitting here in front of you and telling my story. Okay? I don't do this for fame. I don't do this. I don't even like praise. I moved because I wanted to be a bigger sister, like I am to my actual younger sister. My dad told me this sentence, I think it is a famous sentence. Audacity favors the bold, or rather the courageous, right? So if you're courageous, being bold will favor you. And I started by introducing myself saying, I aspire to inspire before I expire. That has been my motto in life. Like, I want to wake up every day trying to leave a piece of me in this world. So when I go into the most expensive place, which is the graveyard where dreams die, I don't want my dreams to come with me. I want my dreams to be left in the girls that we inspire, in the schools that we touch, in the people who come to our events. And so my question to a person who's looking at my story and saying, I'd like to be sat where Angela is sitting, is, are you going to be the girl who takes the dreams with you to the graveyard, or are you going to be the girl who leaves your dreams here on earth so that people can learn, be inspired by it? So that is how I found myself sitting here, because I made the decision is I want to leave this world empty, drained. Being bold is a choice. It's a choice you have to do every day. It's a muscle you build, and you get a lot of no's, and you shouldn't be scared of those no's, but you should see them as, okay, it didn't work. Maybe the door's closed, maybe I can try jumping through the window. Or if the door is closed, that wasn't your door in the first place, because, you know, if it's yours, there's no doors. You just walk straight through. And believe in yourself. Believe in yourself more than other people believe in you, because that belief also changes for other people, but the belief in yourself should never change. You should know that you're that babe.